Welcome to More For Me with yours truly, Kat Necole. What up, homie? What's going on with you? What's good? Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you realize that we have a special guest in the studio today, my homie Group. Now, as French shakes his head because he's confused as to why I have a guest in the studio, I just smile and nod and keep on going. Welcome. It's always a privilege and an honor to be able to hang out here with you guys, the homies on the Homieship. And if you're not a homie, go ahead and check out the show description. Lets you know some ways that you can join this good homieship and journey with me and others as we head towards the destination of more that God has for us. What are we getting into this week? Did you know that comparison is one of the most unproductive things ever in life? And I didn't realize how much I compare or people compare until my kids started comparing. And then, aside from being extremely annoyed by the incessant comparing, I realized, hey, a lot of our lives, I'm in the bunch, I'm in the number. A lot of our lives, we literally compare ourselves to other people. And it's like, what would life be like if you didn't compare? At some point in time, I was like, you know what? I'm not really on this comparison tip, right? Like, Jesus is the standard. I can't compare myself to you. One of my favorite sayings. You can't compare yourself to the worst to say you're the best. Like, why compare? Jesus, he is the best, right? So there's a comparison. How am I doing in my endeavors to become Christ-like, to evolve? How's that going? Versus trying to compare myself to French or somebody else and my coworker, my boss. Like, no. I don't want to compare myself to other people. It's just not worth it. And it normally sends you in a terrible, terrible place. But I don't really actually just want to talk about comparison today. That was like an aside. Comparison sucks. It's terrible for everybody involved. And to the best of your ability, you should practice not comparing. If you find yourself comparing, stop and change your perspective. Whether you have to verbally say something to yourself, whether you have to apologize or to whomever you're talking, like whatever it takes, stop comparing yourself to other people. No, don't do it. You're an individual. God made you special. Like, yes, like literally. Not in that the help kind of way, but like for real, you're special. You don't need to compare yourself to other people. It's not worth it. Speaking of comparison, let's talk about the exact opposite of comparison. Celebration. I was pondering and like, man, you realize that for every single person, like no one is exempt. There's always going to be something, at least one thing in your life where you literally start behind others. Like, don't know anyone else, right? That they have not, at least in one, if you're a second born, like you start behind your sibling, they can already do all these other things, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be solely in your performance. It may be ability, it may be skill. Like there's going to be at least one thing in your life where you are behind somebody else in terms of progress. So with that, of course, that little aside there about not comparing yourself is very helpful at this point in time. But what do you do? How do you handle coming up from the rear? Life is a journey, not necessarily calling it a race. But how do you cope with being behind? Because as you work not to compare yourself to others, like you might find that you actually still do, because it's what the world practices and it's what they encourage. So you might find yourself comparing at some point in time. But what's your way not to focus on that and to be discouraged, if you will, because you're not where you want to be? Y'all know I love it. Simplicity. It's not easy, but it is simple. One word came to mind. Celebration. That you have to learn to celebrate. Celebration is going to be our solution for today. Yay! Throwing the fake crowd noise there. My producer's like, what? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Don't know where that button is. But how do you learn to celebrate yourself? I am practicing so that I can make progress, utilizing myself as the measuring stick. And so if I have made progress from where I started, then that is reason to celebrate. I remember the first time I heard the speakers on a podcast, guy was talking about like how you prepare and not necessarily trying to go from 0 to 100, but taking small steps, what I love to call small bites towards where you want to be. And when he was like, you want to go work out, but maybe that first day you just get up at the time you should go work out. Then you go lay back down. And then eventually, like 4 or 5 days in, he's like, then you put on your shoes, but then you still don't go work out. And I was like, man, this is like a lot of steps and really tedious. But realizing he literally was walking through that you are making some type of progress and that you literally are further today than you were yesterday. And it's reason to celebrate because you are now effectively making progress. Slow, but still progress. And all progress is going to be good progress. So how do you ensure that you are in tune with where you are and what's going on and happening so that you can acknowledge even the smallest steps or small bites that you are taking as you make progress along your journey? And then there's absolutely no reason to worry about how far, quote unquote, behind you are or off from where you want to be. You're just acknowledging that you no longer are where you were. And so that it's reason to encourage yourself, to celebrate yourself, and give yourself that push, that the momentum, to keep the momentum going, to keep making progress towards the destination of more that God has for you. So today, we are just literally taking it easy and learning to celebrate ourselves through the progress that we make, not in comparison to other people, but just based upon where we were and where we are now. And if we can continue to sometimes just maintain where we are instead of going backwards, and other times, hopefully more often than maintaining, is to actually make progress and take steps forward through small bites, tangible, practical actions and things that you can do to become a better version of you as you journey towards the destination of more. So that's all this week, guys. Practice makes progress, so make sure you give it a whirl. We want to celebrate what we are doing and the progress that we are making so that we can keep on making it happen. And it also helps you learn to celebrate other people on their journey in your healthy community, hanging out with your homies. So that's it for this week, and we will be here. Same mode, same time, same place next week. Until then, remember, God has more for me. God has more for you. Now let's get it. Take care.